Welcome back to the Standing Room Only podcast, episode 93. Baseball season is over for the regular season. Playoffs have begun. We're going to go over the season in general, recap what we predicted would happen this season, and then give some new predictions for the teams remaining in the playoffs. Also, we have NFL news, NBA news. Guys do enjoy the content, make sure to follow us at SR Only Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We do have a TikTok page. We are going to upload clips to the TikTok page. So follow us on there. If you can't catch every podcast, we'll try uploading a few clips from every episode. We had 1,000 views on both posts each. We uploaded over the weekend to literally no followers. So TikTok, very awesome in that aspect. Follow our personal accounts. Mine is at the Healy6.
I am iGoose with 4 O's. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram as well. Make sure you guys follow us. Comment. Talk trash. We love it. It's, of course, in fun and love, right? But yeah, Healy, as you mentioned, we got baseball playoffs. You were going over some of the predictions. Obviously we did not predict very well. It's hard with baseball. It's so hard with baseball compared to any other sport because with baseball, payroll is like the only sport where payroll just doesn't matter.
Also, the teams don't really matter. You could have the best team out there and end up failing for the season.
Yep. Happens every single year.
Last episode, during the recording, it was Yankees, Blue Jays, and that ended up being the deciding factor for the wild card in the American League. There was 4 teams going into the weekend that had a chance to make the wild card: the Mariners, Blue Jays, Red Sox, and Yankees. Yankees lost 2 in a row to the Rays. The Red Sox went 1-1 going into Sunday. The Mariners went 1-1 going into Sunday. And then the Blue Jays, I don't know if they lost a game. I think they were 2 games behind. So they swept the Orioles. They did what they had to do. It was just in control of the other teams losing. And the final day of the season, 0-0 ball game in the Yankees-Rays game. The Yankees walk it off. They clinch their spot. The Red Sox, they were down against the Nationals, and then they scored 4 runs in the final 3 innings to win against the Nationals and clinch their spot. So unfortunately, no 3-team tie. That would have been really cool to see. The Mariners ended up losing Saturday and Sunday. Fell just short, but congratulations to them. They weren't even supposed to be at this point, especially with their team composition. And then the Blue Jays, they fell 1 game short. And the deciding game, technically in recency bias hindsight, was the Robbie Ray game, in which he got let in, where he pitched 1 more inning than he should have, got shelled for like 4 or 5 runs. They lost that game. They missed out by 1 game. They won 91 games and finished 4th in the American League East.
And didn't make the playoffs. That's horrible. That's like winning 11 games in the NFL and not making the playoffs. That Robbie Ray game, I think we were recording our last episode during that. Just going through like just the statistics and looking and seeing that they literally had like the best overall offensive team, average, slugging, home runs. Pitching wasn't even horrible. And I mean, it says a lot about not only the AL East, but the AL in general, which is locked and loaded. Obviously, there's that whole division is good. The Rays won 100 games, and the Yankees and the Red Sox were right there. They had their wild card game already, which I thought was an interesting turn of events where the Yankees probably could have did some damage in the middle of the game there, but a fun end. We called it. We said, if you are a baseball fan, tune in. Last week we said tune in because you're going to get playoff like baseball. Obviously, the Blue Jays took care of the Orioles. I don't know how much a playoff like baseball, but they know what they're playing for. Mariners. I'm happy that the game I went to, one of the only games I went to was against them, and then obviously the Blue Jays, and we lost to the Mariners, and it was like, man, we lost to the Mariners, but no, they played a lot better than anybody would have ever
Taylor
assumed.
Trammell.
Yeah, 2 home run game. He had one in the top of the ninth, I believe, to kind of seal the deal, and
Yep.
that was
Top of the
a fun game to
7th.
watch. Top of the seventh, yeah, they get a 2-run shot. Could be wrong, but definitely
Unsure.
overall, definitely a fun season, a
Yeah.
very fun season, especially with the how the NL West panned out as well.
Yeah, that one came down to the final day of the season as well. The Giants made it a 1-game lead going into they lost a game, I believe. There's only one game going into Sunday, and then the Giants did what they had to do. They won their game, so it didn't even matter that the Dodgers won as well against the Brewers.
Yep. And so tonight, as a result, you have the Dodgers, Max Scherzer going up against Adam Wainwright, and the St. Louis Cardinals, which the Cardinals were a surprise team as well. Generally speaking, it's never a surprise for the Cardinals to do what they do, but just the incredible run that they went on to kind of get into the wild card game was pretty cool. Because the Brewers went on a good run as well and held that first place spot in the NL Central. Tonight, as we're recording, the NL wildcard game is going on. Bottom of the second, St. Louis is currently leading LA. The game is in LA. It's 1-0. The only run scored on a wild pitch, which you don't see very often from Max Scherzer, but I think it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a battle because the Dodgers clearly, to me, is clearly the better team overall, offensively at least, to add some run support, but at what point do they pull Adam Wainwright and it becomes a problem? I think if he can go a solid 6 innings, 7 innings, probably going to be in trouble. Because the Cardinals' offense is not bad at all either.
No, and Wainwright's he's turned back the clock past few weeks. He's really good, right?
Yeah, I was looking at his numbers. I think this year he went 17-7. I could be wrong. We haven't seen that since the last time they were considered a dynasty in the mid 2000s. So it's
Yeah, the 2010s.
yeah,
Time.
that was Cardinals to me are always going to be, and it's nice that they have this little run too because Yadier Molina, I think he's retiring after this next season.
Yeah, he signed one more year. Also, Adam Wainwright is back for.
Okay, so it'd be cool to see them get one last hoorah. They're legends, obviously, with the Cardinals. I know he left a while ago, but Pujols is like the only other guy that comes to mind as like Cardinals players. And Jim Edmonds back in the day too, but more, So, and as a Sox fan with the chance of going to the World Series, I would love the Dodgers to just lose now and not have to worry about them if it gets to that point. Not saying that any of the other teams are going to be easier, but Dodgers to me are a very, very tough team in a series. When it comes down to a 7-game series, are a very deadly team.
Yes. You gotta beware if they do advance. I think we're pretty much done with the regular season stuff. I do have a video that I want you to listen to before we get into this next segment. We're gonna talk about it a little bit. This is an update video from Trevor Bauer himself.
Forward to speaking about the false and materially misleading allegations in the future, but for now, this is what I'm able to share with you. One legal matter has been resolved. The judge's detailed decision is available and it speaks for itself. There is a pending matter, which I'm not able to speak about at this time. So with that being said, I'm going to be rolling out some baseball content here throughout the postseason. This is a channel that aims to celebrate baseball culture and entertain. And I love bringing you guys along for that ride with me. So I'll see you all in a video here soon.
Very interesting.
At the beginning, he said there was false information. So we know the case is pretty much over. We don't know all the details as he stated in that. But what we do know is that he's done with that. He's obviously not playing the remainder of the playoffs, and it seems as if the accusations against him were false. We won't know until it's made known to the public exactly all the details, but we might see Trevor Bauer pitch next season.
Wow. I did not expect to. You threw a curveball at me, no pun intended. I didn't expect any Trevor Bauer news until like maybe off season, spring. So that's cool. I mean, we don't know exactly what the status of the other, was it a second charge of some sort? But you know, if it ends up being that there was false information given, you know, obviously let the courts settle that and let you know, the law do its thing. If he was pitching and they had him the whole season, I don't think they'd be in this wild card game. I think that he would give them the edge for a couple more games. But that just goes to show though how deadly that Dodgers team is. Even without him, they're still a very, very scary team. They went out and got Max and their offense and
Trade Turner. Who knows if that trade would have even went through?
yeah, that's true. If they would have even pushed for that.
So that is it for the regular season. The ending was great, and it's time to recap our predictions. Every single season for the main three sports we talk about, we do give predictions. And I told Goose already, we didn't do so hot with baseball. Baseball, very tough sport in general. There's a lot of different factors, as we've already mentioned. So let's get right into it. We'll start off with the American League. Both of us out of the American League East at the New York Yankees. Kind of close. They finished third, though. I don't know. But they ended up making the playoffs. The AL Central, we had the White Sox. We're good on that. And then out of the AL West, we had the Houston Astros. Good on that. So 2 teams right there. It only goes down from here on out. The American League wild card. I ended up picking the Tampa Bay Rays and Oakland Athletics. The Athletics were close. They were in contention up until like the final week.
They were.
And I think the Mariners beat them a few games to kind of like knock them out. The Rays, as we know, won the division. And for you picked the Blue Jays, who barely missed, and also the Minnesota Twins. The Twins weren't a bad pick. The Twins were projected to like win the American League Central in some of the predictions for like some sites early on in the year. They just did not. Wow.
That's the long story short. They had a strong season the year before. And I know a lot of times we're like, well, last season wasn't really a season, but Minnesota's been tough the last couple of years. Pitching's been pretty solid. For the most part, the offense did its thing. Yeah, I mean, when you look at their breakdown statistically, I mean, their offense was right there in the middle of the pack, top 5 in some categories. You know, obviously they have Miguel Sano, they have Polanco, Josh Donaldson, some of these guys. Yeah, Byron Buxton, can't forget about him. Was that Andrelton Simmons? Wasn't he with the Angels for a while? He was.
Yeah.
He's okay. Yeah. I guess the AL's tough because I don't think I expected Boston to be as good as they were. And I'm sure I wasn't alone.
They were at the top of the division forever. They're kind of like the Giants, where we figured out what team they actually were towards the end. They somewhat got hot the final couple weeks because it was a wild card push. They ended up making the playoffs. They ended up winning their game yesterday. So they're kind of back being at that hot level. But there was a stretch where it's like, okay, yeah, I could could see Red Sox team in a sense.
They're very good. Yeah. I mean, just watching the game yesterday, they're loaded. They are actually loaded. I didn't give them enough credit going into the season. I guess my biggest thing was like, how good is their pitching going to be? So the
Yeah.
offense is obviously there. The offense is definitely there. The pitching is so-so. I mean, they obviously have a few good starters. They pulled off that game yesterday in the wild card against the Yankees, which was a pretty interesting game to watch. That it was like fifth or sixth inning when Stanton almost hit that home run, and Judge was sent around third by the third base coach, who probably is on the hot seat. I don't know why he wouldn't be. That definitely changed the game a lot. Gave the Red Sox a lot of momentum. They ended up scoring the next inning, and it could have been the Yankees game. They definitely could have been the Yankees game. So that's the AL.
Woof. Yes. The National League. Oh, this is about to get fun. So
This
for
one's tough.
for the NL East, I picked the Mets. They looked great going in the season. You picked the Braves, which is actually the right pick. Surprisingly, especially with Acuna getting hurt. And then
Yep.
they made trades for a bunch of outfielders that clicked.
They traded for Duvall, which was
Jorge
huge. Soler was huge, yeah.
Eddie Rosario,
Yep.
and then Jock Peterson, another guy they traded for.
I forgot they traded for Jock from Chicago.
Yes. The NL Central, you were close. You had the St. Louis Cardinals, who finished in the wild card. And then I went with the Cubs.
You never go wrong with the Cubbies.
At the beginning of the season, I said in the prediction video, I felt like these guys were going to click. It was their final year together. They were kind of inconsistent. I thought they were just going to click all together. They kind of did. They held the first place of the National League Central till June 18th, and then went downhill, and then they traded away everyone, and their record looks way worse for that prediction.
They were clicking. They definitely were clicking. Patrick Wisdom was clicking. Who is this guy? I just remember that team just getting hot for a bit. And that cooled off and did not go back. And then obviously they started shipping guys, and
Yep.
and once
They lost 11 in a row.
Yeah, that's what it was. I remember that. Was that May?
After the no-hitter in June.
That was June. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
they
because
threw the
they were good
no-hitter
for a little bit,
and then lost 11 in a row.
and then traded everybody.
Yep.
Okay, so we're almost there. Milwaukee went on a crazy good run. Otherwise, that was St. Louis's division.
The National League West, we both got right. I don't know why I didn't include this when I told you the results beforehand. Both got the Dodgers. Or no, we got it wrong.
Yeah, we both got it wrong. Yeah, we
It
both
was
had
the
the
Giants, but we both had the Dodgers. Which I don't know how you could pick against the Dodgers. Also, who picked the Giants before this season? No one. You should not have bet for the Giants before this.
You're a fan of the San Francisco Giants if you bet on the San Francisco Giants. That's how that works.
And then the wild cards. I picked the Padres and Nationals. Padres, I don't know what happened. They finished below 500. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
They finished way out of the playoffs. They had a final terrible 2 months. And then the Nationals, I thought maybe they could click and get a good run. Like they were kind of like the Cubs though, where they were just out of the playoffs too much, and they know that even if they did make it, they weren't going to do much, so they traded away Turner, Scherzer, Daniel Hudson, traded away some people.
Mm-hmm.
And then
They'll
for
be good again
you,
soon.
you had the Padres and Mets.
I thought the Mets were going to be better than what they were. New owner, a lot of acquisitions. They even traded for Javi by the deadline.
Yeah.
It never clicked. And the thing is, like, didn't DeGrom just have like one of the best seasons like we've ever seen out of a pitcher, like
Yeah,
historically,
he did.
ERA based?
Mhm.
That division ended up being a better division than what, at least, I don't want to say they're a good division. To me, they're no different than the NFC East in football. You're gonna have some guys, you're gonna have some teams that go, yeah, they're over 500, but you're like, eh. But Philadelphia ended up being pretty damn good. They gave a good run in that East. So Bryce Harper kind of quieted us down. I would say the NL for the next few years, only because even in the West, we don't really know, are the Giants even going to continue being good? Is San Diego going to continue to slump after their pretty hot start? I don't know. I think the NL in the MLB is a toss-up and will be for the next few years. Wild card and division. Clearly, since we know AL Central should be the White Sox, AL West should be the Astros, unless, bearing people get hurt. The AL East, I guess, would be a toss-up, but it's a good toss-up because they're all going to win 90-plus games.
That's what we thought the NL
Probably.
East was gonna be.
We did, yeah. Well, I thought the Mets were going to be way better. I thought they were going to be way better. Miami, too. Miami is probably another couple of years away from being a contender. And then, obviously, Washington you can never count out, only because they have one of the best hitters in baseball, Mr. Juan Soto.
Mhm.
So give it another couple of years. The NL is going to be just as strong again as the AL. Besides the West. The West is obviously good.
So, a lot of big misses, but hey, before the season, they look good. Don't come after us. I won't give our World Series predictions. We'll give those last, just so it can be very fresh leading up to the next discussion. AL and NL MVP and Cy Young picks. So for the American League MVP, both picked Trout, but we also picked other guys because Trout was too of a prediction. I picked Aaron Judge. You picked Jose Ramirez. Aaron Judge very well this season, but as we know, it was Vlad and Shohei. There's no one else in contention. And also, there's not even a contention for the MVP. As good as Vlad's numbers are, Shohei Ohtani was just so much better. Well, I'm not going to say better, but like what he did is something we've never seen before.
He's
Shohei
one of
Ohtani.
he's a two-way player. You hear that term in basketball only. He's a two-way player. He's literally a Mr. Get It Done. One game out of every 5 games, or once a week, he's starting, and he's lights out a lot of games.
And
And
he
then
hits in
obviously
those games as well.
and he hits in those games as well. So it's like, how do you not give him the MVP? That's like what he's done. We haven't seen since Babe Ruth, and that was a different era. That was just a whole different era of baseball.
Babe Ruth doesn't even compare in
Mm-mm.
terms of like when he was an actual two-way.
Yeah. It's got to go Shohei. Salvador Perez had a hell of a year too. Let's give him a shout out. This dude, he's obviously starting to get up there in age. I don't want to call him old, but a catcher hitting 48 home runs, batting it. I mean, his slugging was pretty damn good too. It obviously wasn't as good as Vladimir or Shohei. But Vladdy had a very good season. It's just the fact that Shohei was able to pitch lights out a lot of times, and that's why he's got to get it. But Vladimir is gonna win. He's gonna win at least 1 or 2 MVPs in his career. He's so young. Dude's only what, 22?
Mm-hmm.
And then in the NL, who's your MVP?
Mine actually might win it this year. I picked Juan Soto. So it's probably gonna be him or Harper for 1 and 2. And then your pick was Ronald Acuna, who ended up getting hurt.
Yeah, that was tough. He actually started off the season extremely hot. And the fact that he steals bags, I kind of like too. I feel like Bryce is gonna end up getting it. Juan Soto is always, I feel like Juan Soto is going to be one of the guys until he retires, is always going to be a contender. He reminds me of almost like Albert Pujols when he was younger. Like the first 10 years of his career with St. Louis, he was always just, except he would bat like at 330, and Juan Soto's very capable of doing that as well. He had a good year. I actually liked the season that he had, but I feel like Bryce Harper just overall had I don't want to say a better year, but he was able to lead the Phillies to almost a playoff run.
He
Which
definitely played a
realistic,
little bit more.
he did.
Soto
He
did.
did. Walked 100 times. I know Juan Soto, that's his big thing though, is his on base percentage is like immaculate. He walks all the time. He never strikes out. If I was rebuilding a franchise, I'd want Juan Soto, but I feel like Bryce Harper will get the NL MVP here.
And then the Cy Youngs. American League. Both whiffed on this one. I had Tyler Glasnow, who ended up needing Tommy John. Looking good, but Tommy John, who knows where he would have ended up. Then you had Lucas Giolito, who just had a disappointing year for the type of season that the White Sox had.
Yeah, when you compare his ERA this season to last, or even the season before, I'd say more so last season. It wasn't much. It wasn't that far off. He had a couple bad outings. He had quite a bit of good outings. But definitely with the run support that the Sox offered, it helped a lot. I would say, man, there's so many guys that can pull the Cy Young this year.
I didn't even realize he had a 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point he had like almost a 5 going into May.
Yeah, no, he did. He did.
And then he got it down a little bit, then went back up to 4.2 in July. And then since July, he's actually pitched pretty well. He turned it up late.
He
the
turned
second
it.
half
No,
of
he
the year.
did. He did. And it's funny because like last year, I think he had like a 3.2. I could be wrong. And he threw that no hitter. He actually pitched like 3 gems last year in the limited time. But there's literally bad games. And a lot of times with a pitcher like that, you can allow him to have bad innings and keep him in the game because that's just the type of pitcher that they are, or he is. I think he'll be good. I think he's definitely, I don't know if I think Lance Lynn might be starting game 1. I could be wrong. I don't know if they announced it yet, but to me, he's definitely a number 2, number 3, one of the best number 2, number 3 starters in a series go in the playoffs. So yeah, he didn't win me the Cy Young this year, but you know what? It's okay though. As long as he does what he's got to do in his starts in the playoffs, I think he will do well. But the AL, there was some pretty good pitching there. There was definitely some good stuff. We had like Garrett Cole pulled off 16 wins. Obviously, good run support there too. He ended up with 242 strikeouts, I believe. I could be wrong. Right around there. I don't know. Who do you think won Cy Young for the AL?
I think Robbie Ray will just barely squeak it out.
Okay.
It's close. You could give it to either Robbie Ray or Garrett Cole. I think Robbie Ray pitched a little bit more, struck out a tad more guys.
ERA was sub 3, which is always good. Any pitcher you get below 3, you're like, okay. Especially when you have a team with good run support. Not that matters, but yeah, I like Robbie Ray. I think Robbie Ray is going to pull that off, if not Garrett Cole. Because at the end of the day, both teams are at home watching the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
The NL, I don't even know my prediction for the NL.
You were good. You had a Jacob deGrom who ended up getting hurt halfway through the year. If he would have finished out the year, then probably would have won it, but he did not qualify for innings or anything. Jacob deGrom was for you. I had a huge whiff. I was like, you know what? New scene, playing in this ballpark generally is better for pitchers. I went with you, Darvish. Not the right pick at all.
He had a few good games to start the season. That whole team started good. I think the Padres. We can spend like a good 30 minutes talking about the Padres and how, like, how many where did this go wrong type scenarios, because they went from being a very deadly and probably the most exciting team on paper to watch to whoa, Machado and Tatis are getting into it, which obviously they're teammates. It happens. To they went out and grabbed Jake Arrieta. To what is going on anymore? I don't know what happened with the Padres. Next year, they're still one of my picks to make the playoffs next year for sure.
Yeah.
Early bid. I'm saying it now. Because they even didn't they have the no hitter this year? Joe Musgrove had that no hitter
Yeah, they did.
like first week of baseball. So yeah. And who you said mine was Jacob deGrom.
Yeah.
Obviously doesn't qualify for much. I feel like just looking at the breakdown right now of the whole NL, it's like you almost got to go Julio Urias.
I think Zach Wheeler.
Zach Wheeler had a hell of a year. 14 and 10, 2.78 ERA. He struck out. Okay, he led the NL in strikeouts.
He had the most WAR for pitchers. I know.
How
He
much?
also pitched probably like the most innings.
Yeah, he's got to win it. I don't see. It's either him or, I mean, I guess there's a couple of guys in the NL. The Dodgers in general, their pitchers are going to win a lot of games because their run support's higher than most. And that's why I said the Dodgers would be scary in a series, because actually looking at their pitchers, Urias, Walker Buehler, I know we talked about him a couple times early in the season, Max Scherzer now. Just those guys alone make up for a pretty damn good team. Good rotation.
That is all our predictions from before the season. As you can tell, we did very well on them. The World Series prediction. Yours is still up for grabs. Or no, it's actually not. So both of our World Series predictions busted from the preseason. I had Dodgers versus Yankees, and I had the Dodgers winning it. Your World Series winner, the Chicago White Sox versus the Padres.
The Padres, I remember that.
So your team's still alive. My team is technically still alive. And now we're gonna do the predictions for the bracket.
I'm calling my prediction right now. The Dodgers are going to win this game. I said it to you before the podcast. They're down 1-0 right now. I just saw the bases got loaded. Dodgers are winning this game. So I'm going to say that right now. That's my first prediction. And then we can get into the brackets with that being said.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers. So first matchup of the bracket, or we'll start off with the American League. Boston versus Tampa.
Oof.
I'm going Tampa. I feel like they're too strong. Like I said, they're made for a 60-game season last year. They replicated that this year in the 162, and they just have all the pieces clicking. They don't have a lot of spectacular names. They do have Wander, but like he's 20 years old. He's just a hyped up prospect. They traded for Nelson Cruz, which is cool. I can barely name their starting pitching.
But starting pitching's not bad. See, the thing about the first series is it's a 5-game series. If it was a 7-game series, we might be saying Boston. I think I'm going to go with you on this series as well. I really like Boston. I really like Boston.
Their lineup is disgusting with the addition of Schwarber, and then they have JD Martinez, didn't even play in yesterday's game.
They said he might miss the first series.
Ooh.
And I don't know they're saying he might miss the first series. So I don't think it's anything serious as far as him missing games. But yeah, I mean, JD Martinez was a guy a couple years ago. We were like, whoa, we knew he had power, but he's smacking 45, 47 home runs in a season, almost back to back. You can't in this series, you cannot look at the seed because that division was such a tight knit race. I want to go Boston so bad, but just knowing Tampa and it's a 5-game series, I'm going to stick with Tampa Bay Rays, which they start tomorrow, 7:00 Central Time, 7:07 p.m. The second series in the AL, we have the battle of the West versus the Central, the Houston Astros facing off against the White Sox. That's a tough one. Houston gets home field advantage. They play well at home. This to me is the toughest series. If the Sox can get through, if they win the World Series, I feel like the toughest series is the Astros. I said in a 7-game series, the Yankees will be tough. They're out of it. The only other team that to me is going to give them problems is the Astros. I'm going to go with the White Sox. Maybe the fan cap is on a little bit. But I love the pitching staff from both sides. Lance Lynn was pretty lights out this year, and with Luis Robert coming back and Eloy Jimenez and all the main bats, they obviously lost Nick Magical. They made a move to get Cesar Hernandez. They to me have I don't want to say a more complete team because the Astros are it. They're a damn good baseball team. But I do believe this is going to go to 5 games.
Trey Turner just grounded into a double play, get them out of the inning.
So it's still 1-0?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
For this AL division series, I'm going to go with the Astros. I feel like it'll go 4 or 5 games. I want it to go 5, but winning the first 2 games is very tough to like come back from. And we've seen in baseball, you win game 1, okay. But like game 2 is already pressure's on your back. Not like a 7 game in which you could wait till game 3, losing the first 2.
Game 2 is the
Doesn't really
momentum
matter.
game. It's a momentum game.
And with the Astros this year, they are just very underrated. They're the most hated team in baseball, so they don't get any recognition. But basically, you have Kyle Tucker, who had a 147 OPS plus for the for the casual baseball fan. 100 is average.
Average, yep.
101 means that a person is 1% better than the average. So you have Kyle Tucker in that lineup, 147. Yordan Alvarez, 136. Gurriel, 131. Correa, 131. Altuve, 127. Brantley, 119. Bregman, 113. Maldonado, not great, but like it's just he's a catcher. He's a very good defensive catcher. They traded Miles Straw. I'm not really sure who was playing for them afterwards, but they have a couple guys off the bench to have OPSs above 100. I think their lineup is just insane. They made a couple trades. Their rotation is looking pretty solid with McCullers, Garcia, Urquidy, Odorizzi. They got Presley that comes out of the pen. Stanek's been decent. They traded for Kendall Graveman. I don't know. I feel like tough series, and I'm gonna pick the World Series winner, like who makes the World Series, comes out of this right here. Astros are for me.
I agree. I agree with you. I think this is the toughest series right here that both teams are going to have to go through. I mean, not to discredit like the Rays or the Red Sox because they are very good baseball teams. But I feel like between the Sox, the White Sox, and the Astros, you win this series and your momentum's through the roof because you're talking bats are 1-2 in the playoffs, and then the pitching is pretty damn good on both sides. So it's tough. As a Sox fan, I am. It's going to be tough. It is definitely going to be tough.
The National League. We'll start off with the series that's already decided and who's playing. Braves versus Brewers. I have the Brewers coming out of this one. I don't know. I like the Braves got hot. Their offense is decent. But for the playoffs, when you have Burns, Woodruff, Peralta, they don't have Devin Williams. He did get hurt. But you still have Josh Hader. You still have a bullpen that could manage to get you to the end of the game. I don't see the Brewers really losing this.
This one's tough. I'm almost biased for Atlanta because that was like I've been high on Atlanta for at least the last couple of seasons. You mentioned the big thing, the pitching staff with the Brewers. Corbin Burns had a hell of a year. It's a great pitcher. Milwaukee, I think, is favorited for at least their home games. I'm not sure about the whole series. Batting wise, offensively, I do think Atlanta has the edge, but pitching wise, obviously you have to go Milwaukee. Yeah, I'm gonna go Atlanta on this one. This is another one that's gonna go 4 or 5 games.
Okay. And then the final series is Giants versus the Dodgers or the Cardinals. This one's tough to predict just because if the Dodgers make it, I'm going to predict the Dodgers. The Cardinals make it, I'm going to predict the Giants.
I'm 100% with you on that one. I'm the same. I think the Dodgers are going to pull this game off. If the Dodgers win, they're going to the World Series. That's how I'm looking at it. If they lose this game and the Cardinals win, I'm taking the Giants in that first round. And I almost might take the Giants to go to the World Series at this point because of how well their baseball team plays together. They just click. One of the big names they added, who's been there, done that in his short career. I wouldn't call it too short, but Chris Bryant, and I just feel like that Milwaukee Atlanta series, Chris Bryant's good at baseball. Got the shirt on right now. I just feel like Milwaukee and Atlanta's like, they're good, but they don't have the oomph that we look for. Like the whole AL is full of that oomph. And the NL, it's just Giants or Dodgers. The NL West is just they had such a strong year for neither of those teams to make it to the World Series. I don't see that happening.
If the Dodgers win, I'm going to pick Dodgers to make it to the World Series. If they don't, I'm going to pick the Brewers to make the World.
I like that. When was the last time Milwaukee won?
They haven't.
They've never won.
And I think they technically made it once back when they're in the American League.
Wow. Okay.
Back in like the 70s.
Be an interesting season. Nobody expected the Dodgers to even compete. I mean, not the Dodgers, the Brewers to really compete.
They were predicted to win the division, but like I didn't believe it.
Well, and not how they started. They didn't start that hot though. I think after a while we were like, okay, the Cubs. I mean, I don't know if anybody really thought the Cubs were going to hold that lead in the NL Central. They definitely gave hope. Be an interesting thing to see. To me, Milwaukee going is almost like the Rays last year. You're like, they're a good team. Definitely an underdog, regardless, no matter who they face out of the AL, I think, personally. So your prediction is if the Dodgers don't win, if the Dodgers win, they're going to the World Series. If they don't win, it's Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Okay. And who's your prediction in the AL to go to the World Series?
The Astros.
The Astros. Okay.
I think we'll get an Astros Dodgers World Series. And then I'd pick the Dodgers to still win.
Dodgers to still win. I agree with you on that one. I think we can all agree that the Astros are a bunch of jerk offs for cheating, but they definitely have a real ass baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm sure everybody agrees at this point. But it would be bitter. It would be very, very nice. Not bitter. It'd be very sweet to see them just get destroyed in the World Series, or like heartbroken.
Yeah, they were
Like a
one game
walk-off.
away from making it last year.
Yeah. So,
And for you, you're going with the White Sox still?
oh yeah, I'm sticking with the White Sox. I'm gonna stick with the White Sox. Only so I do believe it's gonna be the winner of the White Sox or the Astros coming out of that series. That is the World Series team. It's hard because as much as I love the Sox, and as much as I'm a gambling man, I don't feel safe betting my money that the Sox are going to come out in this series. But I do believe that they have what it takes to win the series, and I do believe that if they win the series, they will end up in the World Series. With that being said, I still predict that the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. That is my prediction. I don't think the Sox are right there, and they still have a nice young core for the next couple of years. They have room to grow a little bit more. I just think the Dodgers just 1 through 9. They just have it. They literally have it. So we both agree the Dodgers, if they can get past this wild card game, they're gonna win.
Yeah.
But what if they don't?
Oh no. I have no idea. I think I would pick Astros over the Brewers.
I would probably take the Astros over anybody in the NL at that point. That would be my prediction.
Man, I'd hope they win. I don't know. Looking a little scary, especially being down 1-0 in the fourth inning. Playoff baseball, always intense. Gotta remember, you gotta take in this year's postseason as well. So this might be the last year the baseball postseason is as unique as it is in baseball in general. The National League, we all know pitchers hit. The American League, they don't. So it's cool to see the matchups on both in both leagues, seeing how the game is played differently with like pinch hitting, when to pull your starters, and then the World Series as well, when you actually have a few games using different sets of rules.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, we could possibly see the DH in both leagues, and that being the end of pitchers hitting in baseball. So take it in as you can if you like baseball for what it is. I personally am not going to mind having the DH, but it's definitely cool once it comes playoff time. Like right now, Dodgers are down 1-0. Are you going to keep Max Scherzer in for the sixth if he comes up bottom 5? I don't know.
It always changes the game plan. And it's weird that one league has that advantage to always have, like, Stanton. Was it Stanton? Yeah, Stanton. Yesterday, I saw him in a sweater on the bench. Every time they're on defense, he's in a sweater on a bench, getting ready to bat. Kind of creates an advantage in a way, but it makes it more fun.
Yeah,
You have an extra batter.
definitely cool. Then one little side note, someone I went to school with, he messaged after he won this. He made a $3 parlay last night for Xander Bogaerts, Kyle Schwarber, Giancarlo Stanton, and Anthony Rizzo to hit home runs. It hit. He used a DraftKings boost to 25% as well. He won $1,300 on a $3 parlay.
Wow. Shout out to him. There were some crazy parlays in the past week. I won't crown him parlay king, but that is a very damn good parlay. Hats off to your friend there. That's nuts. I was looking at some of the parlays. It's hard. Baseball parlays are they're tough. It's always like,
Literally hit or miss.
yeah, no pun intended. Because there's somewhere it's like, oh, you look at players to get a hit and they're all like minus 100, minus 200. You're like, man, these guys really are guaranteed to get a hit. I'm like, it's kind of hard. If you average a hit a game, that's 162 hits. And then there was somewhere it's like, oh, these players are to get two plus hits, and you're like, okay, this is more fun. But then it's like not as likely, and then you're predicting runs, which is a whole nother realm. That's the comparable to touchdowns, anytime touchdown scorer right there. So that's tough. Good for him. Wow. I'm a parlay king in training. I'm getting my L's out of the way early. You only learn, they're not L's, they're not losses, they're learning lessons. That's it. The bank account might say it's a loss, but that we don't pay attention to those. We don't realize those.
So baseball regular season is done. We're going to be covering the playoffs as the postseason continues. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be right back at it with predictions in the NBA. That season's coming up soon. We'll talk about the Bulls. Bulls had their first preseason game yesterday.
The number one takeaway, the first thing I saw, because I watched most of the first half, all the first quarter, most of the first half. Some of the highlights after was they're having fun. This is a weird thing to see for Bulls players to sit there and have fun while winning. So we don't win often, obviously. Javonte Green playing the power forward. He's like a 6'4" guard. Had 4 blocks in the game, which was nuts. Zach LaVine did Zach LaVine things. Put up 26 points in 25 minutes. The nice thing about basketball preseason, they play the minutes because you have to. It was pretty cool to see Ayo get in there. Like in the second half, he had a couple good runs. The roster you see, a lot of those guys probably are not going to play during the season or are going to get cut because you can only have like a 12 or 15 man roster. I don't know what it is now with COVID. But defense looked great. Lonzo Ball looked great. Lonzo Ball offensively, I think he scored like the first bucket. He popped a 3 and I was just like, whoa. I remember he changed his shot, and I know he shot 40% last year. He just was confident. Between him, DeMar, and Lonzo, they were having fun. Alex Caruso got in the mix with a no-look pass. I think Lonzo tossed an alley-oop to LaVine. DeMar DeRozan. There was a point where LaVine went up for like a crazy dunk and just lost himself in midair. And I think it was like DeMar DeRozan had a putback or Lonzo Ball had a putback, and they were just laughing at each other. Like it wasn't necessarily, they weren't goofing off. They were still playing. But how much they're clicking and their morale of this unit is something I haven't seen as a Bulls fan. And I'm just like, man, their defense is the number one thing that I noticed. Their offense has always been kind of good. And Vooch wasn't even really on in this game. He missed a lot of open threes, which is fine because he's a center. But he's gonna start clicking. But the defense and just how much their chemistry is just clicking. Like Caruso with the no-look pass. A couple of these guys are just like, they're just trying to think who else was there. Troy Brown Jr., who I've been sold on since the bubble when he was with Washington a couple of seasons ago. I've always liked him. He smacked like 2 threes in a row to start the game. They started off hot and didn't look back. Lauri Markkanen was one of the guys they were playing against, obviously, ex-Bull. They gave him some work down there. They definitely gave him some work, and the Cavs are an interesting team because, and I know it's preseason. You can't really go off preseason. But it's just nice to see those main things. Defense, offense is obviously still there. Defense improved, and these guys are having fun. These are veterans. You need that chemistry to in a winning mindset from the front office on down. Make these guys comfortable. Let them know, hey, we brought you in to win. We didn't bring you in to fill the seats. We want to win, and that's going to be the mindset for the team moving forward. And the over-under with them at 42.5, I think, is a joke. I think they're going to win 48, 49 games easily.
I would see the 42, but like I don't know how they I don't yeah. It would have to be injuries and for them just to go into a terrible stretch.
A funk. I mean, what did they win? 34, 35 last year. about, give or take a game or two. And they had a stretch where, first half
In
of
a
the season, they didn't
72
have
game
Vooch.
season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a shortened season. They didn't have Vooch. They lost Levine for COVID for a 14-day stretch. I think it ended up being like 8 games or something, 9 games.
And then you had
And
Markkanen and Vooch on the floor.
yeah, those guys didn't play well together. There was at least 5 or 6 games where they blew fourth quarter leads, like 8, 9, 10-point leads. That's not going to happen anymore. Shouldn't happen with this new look team. I'm confident this is a 48 win team. Minimum 48 wins. My FanDuel lineups are going to be, I can't wait for FanDuel. That's all I got to say. I'm not as good. I'm not as good in the NFL. I've been winning this season. I've been winning, doubling money, winning money back here and there. But the NBA is where I thrive. So when I give lineups for the NFL and it doesn't look that good enough, the NBA is where I thrive. So be on the lookout for that. That's why I always say follow the Twitter. I like to put key guys out there. Some nice value players, nice value plays. I like to give my reasoning too. I should create a video as to what I look for with the NBA because I do have an algorithm with that. So
Follow our TikTok at @SRNLeePod.
follow the TikTok. Trust me.
Yeah.
There's
And
some people on TikTok I'd love to chat with.
Maybe for like the football stuff too. You normally release your lineups like the day of, like shortly before. Maybe a couple days beforehand, you give like you do a TikTok of like 2 guys that you must have. You don't want to give away
this week.
You don't want to give away all the secrets, but you just give away just a little hint, and then people could work with that.
There is definitely one on my radar that I will have to put out there. I'll definitely do that. And it's a must start. He's going to be valued at. He's going to be mid range. I can tell you that. I wouldn't expect anything less than 12, 13 points, and based on his price, which I wouldn't assume is anything between 6 and 6,500, is a must start.
All right, football news. We'll talk a little bit about it, but the big news. We'll start off with the biggest of them all. Justin Fields is officially the starter moving forward. I saw a clip on Twitter, and it was a Russell Wilson play action and his play action. It was the exact same play, exact same throw.
I literally, when I watched Justin Fields play, and I might have said this before, I'm like, he reminds me, his skill set, his build, his arm is Russell Wilson, which I think is incredible. Because I think Russell Wilson is he's not talked about as being one of the best quarterbacks in the league consistently for however many years he's been in it. I don't think he gets talked about enough. Maybe he does, but I think Justin Fields giving him this boost of confidence says a lot. And Andy Dalton saying, hey, apparently Andy Dalton was like, hey, you're the starter. I'm here for you through this. I think he's still going to continue to help him grow as a player. Because maturing through as a professional athlete, I can't speak on it personally, but you see it as a fan. And I think that's the biggest thing. You get guys like Mahomes who just has that ability he has a physical skill set, but then his mental game is like there. It's there. It's like he's playing ahead of his time. Justin Fields has a lot of potential. That Bears team has a lot of potential. He connected with Darnell Mooney early in the game for it was a 50-yard toss. I don't think it was a full 50-yard play because it was from the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage, but I got excited and I'm like, dude, what am I doing? I'm a Packers fan. But it's a simple fact that it's exciting to see the competition brew a little bit. Because I don't think the Bears are going to be a playoff team. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll sneak in. They have the potential. But in the next 2 to 3 years, if Aaron Rodgers truly is leaving Green Bay, this is going to be the guy in the division, if not in the conference. So it's interesting to see what he ends up bringing to the table, knowing, okay, weight's off my shoulder. Moving forward, I am the starter. The only thing stopping me from being the best at this point is me. let's ball out. Like, that's it. That's all he has to do is just ball out.
I did see as well that Justin Fields, when he got word, he like told his family, and his family was like, "Yeah, let's go out and celebrate tonight." And he was like, "No," and he stayed in.
Smart man. Mentally, that's a lot. I mean, Sundays come quick. Me and just working every day, the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday comes quick. So I can only imagine knowing, hey, we're giving you the ball moving forward the rest of the season. These Sundays are going to come quick. There's a lot to prepare for. So I like that mindset. I like it a lot.
Yeah, and obviously he doesn't have the experience, so like you don't want to waste a day. You don't want to waste any time. This could be he's going to get more opportunities, but like an average person, this could be only opportunity.
Yeah, it could be. We'll see. Dalton, I don't think will come back next year. Foles, they'll probably end up trading. I think Foles is worth a look to trade to get something in return. There's a couple guys out there that got released past couple days
Yeah, slash traded.
/ traded.
Stephen Gilmore, one of them. He got traded for a 6th round pick today.
He almost
The
went to Green
Panthers.
Bay. He wanted to go to Green Bay. Ended up going to Carolina, which is to me is just as good.
Why'd they
Carolina,
release him?
he was on the pup list and cap space? I don't know. I don't know what the real reason was. I just know he was on the pup list. Defensive backs sometimes get that treatment. They're in the league for a while. They could be good. To get cut, to get traded for a 6th round pick even is still kind of like,
Yeah.
he's still good. I mean, Richard Sherman just got signed.
Mm-hmm.
He's with Tampa. And a lot of guys thought Gilmore was going to Tampa because they're like the Lakers of the league. I like him going to Carolina because Carolina's defense has been rock solid this year, and their offense actually hasn't been that bad even without Christian McCaffrey. Sam Darnold's ended up turning into the quarterback that I never thought he would. I really wish it was Green Bay because there's a chance Jair Alexander might be out for the year. He has a torn shoulder. They're getting second opinions. Matt LaFleur said yes, if he gets surgery, he's done for the year. If he doesn't, he can rehab for a while and be back hopefully by the end of the season or middle or end, whatever. But that's a big hit because Kevin King sucks. Our defensive backs are not that great besides Jair Alexander. And without him, we are going to get torched. And historically, the Green Bay Packers don't make it to the Super Bowl. They don't make it past the conference championship round because they get torched deep. That's just how it is historically. We saw it last year with Scotty Miller. So without Jair Alexander, that's going to be tough. And that's why I was hoping that Stephen Gilmore was going to go there because he's not only just a veteran, he just makes the right plays. But I like him in Carolina. Another one, I don't think he's signed yet, which also Green Bay is looking at. Is it
Jalen Smith.
Jalen Smith? Another one Green Bay is looking at.
The
like him.
linebacker from the Cowboys.
He's young. He's a Pro Bowler in his 3-year career. He's already made the Pro Bowl, 3 or 4. I don't know if he's at 4 yet, but he's good. I like him. Surprised Dallas just gave up. I don't know what the issue is there. It's not like Dallas is fully loaded on defense. I mean, they still give up the big plays. Better this year than what they've been.
Mm-hmm.
But come to Green Bay. We'll take them. We'll take what we can get at this point. We need pass rushers.
Couple weird cuts. Like you don't normally see this mid-season.
Mm-mm. Not when you're already winning. I don't get it.
I don't get it as well. To round out things for this week's episode, though, go over the primetime games for NFL. We got Rams and Seahawks, which are going to be really good on Thursday night. We have a treat with that. We have Bills Chiefs on Sunday Night Football, and then the Colts and Ravens for Monday night. 3 very good matchups.
It's gonna be very fun. I'm looking forward to Thursday night, tomorrow's game. Rams Seahawks, divisional game. You got the new look Rams, who have looked fantastic. They did lose to the Cardinals, so the Cardinals got sole possession of the division right now. It's gonna be a shootout. I am expecting this game to. They're gonna go over the 50.5. I don't even know what the spread is. I think it's like 52.5. It's gonna be a fun game. It's definitely gonna be a fun game to watch. We don't get this much on Thursdays. Thursdays, they usually are lackluster matchups. Cincinnati versus Jacksonville. That's all I can think of on Thursdays. So that is going to wrap up the episode. Make sure you guys are following us on Twitter. We are going to put out a poll, I believe, for the playoffs, MLB playoffs. Instagram, TikTok, SR Only Pod. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Hit the download button, hit the like button. YouTube as well. And we'll see you guys next week.
Have a good one.